We're going to work two more examples with these half-angle formulas, doing one with sine and one with cosine, even though they're both basically the same. All right, so let's get into it. Now I'm going to warn you, these answers are, it's not too hard to plug the stuff in, but simplifying it can be a pain. So let's see what that looks like. And these answers can get kind of gross. All right, so the first example on a work, it says, if sine of x is equal to 1/5, and this, what the heck does that mean? We see here, if 0 less than x less than pi over 2. Do you know what that means? That simply means, all that means is quadrant 1. That's all that means. It's a fancy way of saying quadrant 1. Now it says find cosine of x over 2. Well, let's write down the formula over here. I'll do my scratch work over here. Cosine of x over 2 is the positive. It's positive square root, not negative, because we're in quadrant 1. 1 plus cosine of x all over 2. I'm asked to find cosine of x over 2, and this is the formula I use to find it. Okay. Now here's the problem. Notice, what are we given? We are given sine. That's not what we want. We need cosine. We're given sine. We need to find cosine. How do you find cosine if you know sine? Well, there's two ways to do it, and I bet you know what they are. One of them is use a triangle. The other way is to use sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. You do it either way you want. It does not matter. All right, this time I'm going to use a triangle this time. Let's see. Let's draw a triangle. I'm going to put x right here. X is my angle. All right. And then its sine is opposite over hypotenuse. We need to find the missing side so that we can write down cosine. All right. So let's see. We've got, that's a. So a squared plus 1 squared equals 5 squared. That's going to give me a squared plus 1 equals 25. A squared equals 24. Take the square root of 24. Now, can you break up 24 so that you can take the square root of one of the numbers? Can you think of a way to break up 24? Answer it if you know. It's 4 times 6. So you can take the square root of 4, that's 2. Leave the 6 underneath because you can't take the square root of 6. So that means a is 2 square roots of 6. All right. So what, if you know that side, what's cosine now? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's 2 square roots of 6 over 5. That's what I'm going to plug in for cosine right there. You're going to put that ugly number right there where you see cosine. Now, it's an ugly number, but it's not that hard to work with. Now, notice one thing that I see some of you do is when you plug this in, you plug it in like this. 1 plus cosine 2 root 6 over 5. That is not true. 2 square roots of 6 over 5 takes the place of all of cosine x. It doesn't replace x, it replaces cosine of x. So when you replace it, you're going to put 2 square roots of 6 all over 5. Now, I know that looks terrible, but really the only thing you can do is get rid of that 5 right there. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 5. So that's going to give me, what is it going to give me on the top? Distribute the 5. 5 times 1 is 5. Here the 5's cancel. That's 2 root 6. And 2 times 5 is 10. Do not reduce that 5 and that 10. You cannot reduce a part of a numerator with the entire denominator. Now, how do you get rid of that 10 on the bottom? I would accept this answer. That answer is totally fine. But in the homework, they may not want that 10 there. I'm going to look at the homework. If that's okay, I'll tell you to leave it. If it's not okay, I will put on the board how you fix it. Okay, I'm not sure. I need to look at the homework. I'll put on the board how to fix this if that's not okay. All right. There is a way to fix that, but I don't know if it's necessary. I'm only going to show you how to fix that if it's absolutely necessary. But for me, on my quiz, I will allow you to leave that just like this. All right. So let's do the next one. This will be the last one. All right. If cosine of x is equal to 3/4, and again, what did this mean? What does 0 less than x less than pi over 2 mean? That's a fancy way of saying what? That is a fancy way of saying quadrant 1. That's all that means. All right, so let's write down the formula for sine of x over 2. That's equal to 1 minus the plus or minus. You're not going to have to worry about the plus or minus in front because we're going to pretty much stick with quadrant 1 anyway. So 1 minus cosine of x all over 2. Now, do we have to set up a triangle for this one and find the missing information? Well, no, you don't, because look, I gave you cosine. That's all you need. If I gave you sine, then you would have to find the missing information, but I gave you cosine, so no triangle necessary on this one. All right, so let's plug in. Now, which is correct? Which one is correct? How do I plug it in? Is it going to look like this? Or is it going to look like this? Which one does it look like? This or this? Okay. Does 3/4 only replace the x, or does it replace cosine of x? Well, right here it says cosine of x is equal to 3/4. So this is the one that's correct, not that. 3/4 takes the place of cosine x, not just x. All right. So I'm going to put 1 minus 3/4 all over 2. All right, now how do you fix that? Well, let's see. Wait a minute. We know what 1 minus 3/4 is. Do you know what 1 minus 3/4 is? 1 minus 3/4 is 1/4. So I'm going to replace 1 minus 3/4 with 1/4. Now, what's 1/4 divided by 2? That's the same thing as 1/4 times 1/2. So that's the square root of 1 over 8. Okay, because 1/4 divided by 2 is 1/4 times 1/2. That's 1/8. Can you fix that? Well, do you know what the square root of 1 is? Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 8 is the square root of 8. But can you break that up? Well, 8's the same thing as 4 times 2. So that's going to be 1 over 2 square roots of 2. Multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. And you get the square root of 2 over, now what is that? Square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2. And then that 2 times this 2, that's going to give me 4. That was a little bit tricky. We had to do 1/4 divided by 2 is 1/8. Then we had to break up the 8 and made that 2 square roots of 2, then multiply the top and the bottom by root 2. So it was a little bit tricky there, but the answer is not as ugly as I thought it was going to be. All right? But be nice to ugly numbers. All right, that is how you use the angle addition formulas. All right, what am I saying? It's the half angle formulas. We did angle addition last week. I was going to introduce you to my cat. She's sitting over there in the corner, but my grandkids are in the house right now, and so she's a little bit on edge. If I pick her up and brought her over here right now, she would turn around and scratch me in the face, and y'all think that's funny. I know you would think that's funny. I wouldn't think it's funny. I might laugh about it later, but I don't laugh about it now. But maybe on another day when my grandkids are not running up and down the hallway, I'll pick her up in short when she's not quite so stressed. All right, but she's a little stressed right now. Well, I'll see y'all in class, and I'll help you with any problems that you have a question with.